Okay, so here we are again with another Masters of the Universe Origins unboxing, and it's He-Man again. Don't. It's a new He-Man, but it's the old He-Man, so it's a new old He-Man. So this should be fun. Let's take a look at the packaging. It says He-Man, the most powerful man in the universe. Modern posing retro play, like we always get. I think this was a missed opportunity, since this is a new old He-Man figure. I kind of feel like this is the one they probably should have put the little burst up here that said the original, like what they did with the vintage line when they re-released the first He-Man. See, like He-Man was a pretty popular figure, and kids wanted the one that looked like what was on the cartoon, so they put that on there so that parents who otherwise wouldn't know any better would know that this is the first version of He-Man that you got here. So if the kids are saying they want the original one, it's this one with the cross harness, not the battle armor one or Prince Adam or whatever. So yeah, let's look him over here. You can see the vintage style head in there, which I believe is actually a scan of the commemorative He-Man head. If you compare this head to the actual vintage He-Man head and then compare him to the commemorative one, you'll find that it looks more like that one. But that's splitting hairs. Obviously the commemorative one is based off of the original one. It's just ever so slightly different. Like it's the face is longer or more narrow in comparison. But most people aren't going to notice something like that. It's just going to be somebody who's like really particular and has an eye for detail like myself. So the picture on the back is the same piece of artwork that we've gotten before on the other He-Man figure, the first one, the one with this head. I happen to have one of the heads sitting over here. So yeah, the one that I saw recently referred to as as a stoner. A lot of times people say it looks like Jeff Spicoli. So if you remember back to my review of the first Origins He-Man, I'd mentioned that uh, I would have liked for the head to look more like the vintage one, but in hindsight, I'm actually glad that we got this one first, because I kind of feel like if we'd gotten the vintage one first, that might have been the only He-Man head that we would have gotten, except for, maybe some things like the windswept head from the Battlefield Warriors set or whatnot. But since they did this one first, and fans demanded that we get the vintage head, that means we've got two different styles of He-Man heads. We've got this newer Origins style, and we've got the vintage style. And there's other heads like the Screaming Battle Armor one and the Windswept one from Battlefield Warriors. But those are both variants of each of these heads. Like the first Battle Armor head is basically this one but yelling, and the one from Battlefield Warriors is this one but yelling and with a slightly different hair style. Like, it's not even a different hairstyle, it's just the wind's blowing it in the opposite direction. So then the cross-cell artwork is the same cross-cell artwork from this wave with Merman, Evelyn, Fisto, and Faker. And of course it has the vintage style head on He-Man and the vintage style head on Skeletor, which I've ordered that one from Amazon, so hopefully that one will get here soon. I'm supposed to be getting Ram Man soon, supposed to be, but that one's had some problems. I'll probably talk more about that in the Ram Man video. So let's go ahead and open him up. I noticed that his armor is loose inside the package, so I want to see if that's going to cause any problems. Honestly, I wouldn't be that upset if the armor is messed up, because I've bought several He-Man figures for customs. So I've got like an extra set of armor if it is messed up. I would probably rather, of all people in the world, me get the one with the messed up armor than somebody else who, this is like their first time buying a He-Man figure and they notice that it's messed up. Alright, so let's take the accessories out of the back. And I noticed right away that the thing was, the accessory pack was taped into the package in such a way, I can already tell the sword is going to be warped. So that's disappointing. I really wish they wouldn't pack the accessories so tightly, because that's something that happens fairly often. And he is held in with a rubber band, but I think in this one I'm just going to try to get him off of him that way, because it looks like it's just the one rubber band. Nope, I was wrong. There's one more of his feet. I probably should have cut it. It's around the top part of his boots. There we go, I got it off. And this is how his armor looked in the package. See, you can see that's all twisted up. But hopefully I can still get it to close. And like I said, if I can't, I've got other sets of armor. I can put a different armor piece on him. It'll be okay. So this one seems particularly tight. I don't know if it's just because I got it too low on the chest. Try to stretch it a little bit. Okay. I think I got it hooked on there, but it's not quite wanting to get in there all the way. Maybe if I had something to kind of force it. I'm not going to bore you guys with the gory details, but probably what I'll wind up doing is that'll be good enough for now. But I'll try to hit it with some heat. Maybe dip it in some hot water for a little bit, or maybe just try to hit it with the hairdryer a little bit. So the head sculpt looks good. It's got this thing going on with the eyelashes, like most of these vintage He-Man heads have, and where like he's got these kind of pretty eyelashes, like almost like you know, how girls do like the cat's eye thing with their eyelashes. He's almost got like that sort of thing going on. Faker, like I'd pointed out in the Faker review, did not have that. Faker's look more like the actual vintage He-Man head. So I might try to, you know, since I've got multiples of this head now, I might try to strip the paint off and repaint it myself and get something a little closer to the vintage style. So let's go ahead and take a look at those accessories. And where did I put my X-Acto knife? There we go. Alright, because I have a feeling it's going to be a lot easier to cut this open. Like, look how tightly this is taped. I don't know how they expect kids to do stuff like this. You know, I've got a razor blade, so I can get it a lot more easily. But if I was a kid, I'd imagine I'd struggle with that quite a bit. Alright, and you can see that, like I said, the sword is slightly warped. So if you have that problem, what you do is you can hit it with a hairdryer, or you can dip it in some boiling water for like maybe like 30 seconds, and it should just straighten right out after that. And then we have He-Man's axe and He-Man's shield. So this figure is, for the most part, the same Origins He-Man figure we've already gotten. From the neck down, the body appears to be identical. And the shield and the axe also appear to be identical. The things that make this figure different from the first Origins release is it has the different head, and it has this particular sword, which, as you can see, is a solid power sword. It's not half of a power sword like the first one had. So this figure is basically a case of Mattel listening to fans, where fans, I would say, like, responded to this Origins head a little more coolly. You know, they wanted the vintage head, and Mattel's like, okay, cool, we'll give you the vintage head. There you go. And That was good of them. So good on you, Mattel. Uh, Honestly, I would have liked to see them take this a bit further if they're going to do like closer to the vintage He-Man head and maybe give him a shield and a sword closer to the vintage versions because these are more based off of the Alfredo Alcala artwork, which is great. I like them. But, like I said, I've already got, like, lots of these, because I've bought lots of these He-Man figures to do customs and things. It would have been nice to get a vintage-style axe and a vintage-style shield, also. Not to mention vintage-style armor. That would have been really cool. Uh, but, I'm just, I'm not complaining. I'm not saying Mattel did bad, because I think Mattel did good in giving the people what they wanted with the new head and the solid power sword. But it would have been nice to take that even further, is what I'm saying. So that is not me complaining or saying Mattel made a mistake. What I'm saying is that Mattel, you could do another one. You can refresh this He-Man again and give him even more vintage parts, and that would be a cool thing. Uh, while I'm here talking about He-Man and how He-Man as a figure has his own bespoke case, which is a pretty clever idea if the toy store owners know what they're doing, because then you can get a case of He-Man, you can get a case of Skeletor, and you can get a case with all the other characters. But unfortunately, what I notice a lot is the people who stock the toys at Walmart and Target don't really know, maybe don't even care what peg they're putting them on. So they'll put like whole cases of He-Man and Skeletor figures on the pegs meant for the other characters. And this causes a problem because then you've got nothing but a bunch of He-Man and Skeletor clogging the pegs again. Which, of course, is one of the factors that played into killing the 2000X line. But, you want to have He-Man and Skeletor on the shelf at all times, because that's one of the things that killed the vintage line. So that's why I kind of figured the whole different case assortment thing was pretty brilliant. But the thing is, the toy store owners need to know what's going on and need to understand that that's what's going on. So I kind of think it might be a good idea if Mattel was to reach out to the people that were actually stocking the shelves and explain to them, hey, this is what's going on with this, so make sure you don't, put the figure in the wrong SKU, basically. So I do feel like that this sword, you can see it fits a lot better. I was able to get it to fit in there pretty snugly. It fits a lot better into this particular slot that they made to hold the weapons than the half sword does, because it does fit in there pretty firmly, but you can still take it out rather easily. I've found that a lot of times when I would try to put that half sword in there, a lot of times the pegs that hold the sword would get stuck on either the front or the back of this thing, depending on how you want to put it in there. So, but the whole sword doesn't have that problem because you just kind of put it in there far enough that it's got a little bit of tension to hold it in there, but it doesn't really get caught on it. You can take it out really easily. So I think what I'm going to wind up doing is, since I got two of these bad boys with the vintage head. Now this is the one I took off of Battle Armor He-Man. This one, let's take the axe out of his hand, and we'll take the shield off of his hand. And I wind up using the regular Origins head to represent Prince Adam, like the Prince Adam version of He-Man. Like the guy that you see in the Filmation cartoon in the 2000X. That version of the character where he's He-Man that Prince Adam turns into. And the solid power sword is going to stay with him. There we go. So, because as I see it, Prince Adam has the complete power sword. It's managed to be permanently sealed back together, and that's the one that he has that he uses to transform himself back and forth between He-Man and Prince Adam. And, that's the head that came on the Sky Sled Prince Adam, so to me that makes sense that would be He-Man that he turns into. So that's what's going to be the fate of this particular figure. And this one I'm going to keep as being the mini-comic barbarian style of He-Man, Ular, as they called him in the classics. Since one of the things I really like about the classics continuity is it made it so that you could have both the mini-comic He-Man and the Filmation style He-Man. They both exist in the same continuity, but at different points. So, in the cartoon, he didn't really use the axe, and he very rarely used the shield. I don't remember if he ever used the axe in 2000X or not, or if he just mainly used the shield, but like I said, to me, the Prince Adam version of He-Man, the sword's really the only weapon that he uses. So he doesn't really need a shield or an axe. But to me, the mini-comic version of He-Man almost exclusively uses the axe and the shield. That's like his thing. And even when he has the sword, he pretty much just keeps it on his back. I kind of feel like the mini-comic version is at least a little bit closer to Mark Taylor's vision of the character, where he was a guy who eschewed using magic, like, because he knew that magic had a price to it. So, at least the way that I see that mini-comic version of He-Man. But in my particular version of Masters of the Universe, much like in the classics version, these two characters both exist in the same timeline, and, so to me, I like them both having, like, two completely separate heads. And this one works better to me as, like, the Prince Adam version, because he looks a little younger and a little less mean. This guy is a savage barbarian, and he will mess you up. This guy looks a little more sort of like, you could reason with him. So, and, if you want to still keep the axe and the shield, but you want to have him just wielding the sword, you can do this trick, which is you take the axe handle and you put it through the shield handle, and then you put the axe handle through the slot in the back like so, and voila, now he can carry those with him. So, but then the armor popped loose in the back again, because like I said, it was kind of barely on there, but I can fix it. It's not a big deal. Anyway, I guess that's pretty much it for this video. Hopefully shortly I will be getting in the Skeletor figure with the vintage head and Ram Man. So hopefully those will be in soon. And I'm still checking Amazon frequently to see if I can find the next wave, which is Web Store, Stinkor, Green Goddess, or Eternian Goddess, as she's called in this line, and the Lords of Power version of Beast Man. So I'm still looking for those. So hopefully I'll have those up soon. And I've got one more G.I. Joe classified figure coming soon. So there's a teaser for that. Just a little something to leave you intrigued as to what character it was from that I managed to get. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I always appreciate your support, and anybody who likes to come on here and listen to my ramblings, I appreciate your stopping by and listening to what I have to say. If you enjoyed this video, please do below do all the fun YouTube stuff, like it, subscribe to it, leave a comment. If you didn't like it, you can always leave a comment too. Just whatever. So I don't care. It's still engagement. I like having engagement. Like when I did the Revelations figure, so I go, wow, that's a crappy toy. So okay, well, I'm cool. That's your opinion. So it's still leaving engagement with my video, so I enjoy that. So anyway, thanks a lot. Hope to see you next time. Take care. Bye.